Legal highs now come with supernatural lows. This is the war on drugs with a terrifying twist. I'm Zen, Konnichiwa, Aloha, Buongiorno, and what's up? And welcome to an episode of the Spiraken Manga Review. I'm excited to talk about this new manga, so let's get to it. Because if you remember from your last episode, I spun that one that only the wheel of manga, and it dictated to me that I would be reviewing a manga that is pretty different than what we've talked about because it's dealing with a very serious topic. And what are we talking about? We're talking about drugs. And more importantly, it's something a little darker than that. So let's get to it as I review the manga known as Dopeman. And Dopeman is a manga that is written by Ryo Yoshigami and illustrated by Yuhey Ogino. And this is released by Titan Manga, a company that is in the UK that releases such manga as Burst Angels, Speed Grapher, Common Rider Kuga, and several other really cool titles. But this is something a little different. It's kind of unique. And also, the fact the main character's name is Tojima is a pretty cool element. But I digress. Because this is set in a world where drugs have now become legalized in Japan. And because of that, as you can guess, chaos and fighting ensues. And it's a world where addicts are going completely bonkers, and they've been now called Dopemen. The reason why is these Dopemen have found a drug called Icarus, which gives them unusual supernatural powers. Maybe enhanced strength, the ability to blow things up they hit, or even the ability to control sex dolls. All there. Kind of crazy. But who's going to save the day in this horrible situation? Is it going to be the police? No, probably not. We have it could be a adventure hero, maybe. Well, it's going to be someone else. It's a guy who's going to put a gun to his head and shoot himself. I know, just like that main character from Persona 3. No, really, this is a little more nuanced than that because it is the story of a very specific secret organization. Well, not secret, they are an underground organization within the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare. This is the Narcotic Control Bureau Special Investigative Unit known as D Unit. And it's a group of individuals who are here to stop dope men. And we're introduced to our two main characters. We have Tojima and Matrix. They are two very different sides of the same coin. They're both people who want to deal with the situation, but in two very different ways. We have Tojima, who pretty much is the attack dog of the unit, who wants all dope men to be put down. And then on the other hand, you have Matrix, who wants to rehabilitate them. And these two are obviously butting at heads, especially because Matrix is the rookie of the group. But we eventually learn that this is a very well funded organization because it's the Ministry of Health, Labor, and Welfare. But more importantly, they study these situations completely. And in this situation that we saw the outcome in the beginning of this manga, because it goes backwards in time, we learn the suspect is a 17-year-old guy who is pretending to be a delivery driver in order to sell drugs. And they have to save the day. Unfortunately, D Unit is not liked by the police. They think that they're a nuisance and they're worthless, especially when you meet the other members of D Unit, which is a member known as Akira, and then we have Jack. And they seem like they're all very well adjusted individuals who are dressed and ready to fight and save the day, right? Well, not really. Once they show up, they immediately are given what's called their bow ties. These are Colombian bow ties. They're injections that go into their neck, which creates these unique tattoos on their necks that are shaped like wings, and they're set to go. But more importantly than that, we discover the truth of the nature is that all of them are drug addicts and dope men. We have Tojima, who essentially is smoking a huge blunt. We've got Akira, who is a drug head who takes pills. And then we have Jack, who does cocaine. He's just doing a line of cocaine. Matrix, we have no idea what Matrix's deal is because they don't really explain it in this manga. Yet, anyway. And we discover their abilities, that they're really, really just well done. And then the cop shows up and says, "Hey, you idiots, we don't want to deal with you. We've got this under control. Everything's going to be great." Except that the dope man that the police were fighting end up blowing up a building, and they're like, we got nothing. Hey, Tojima, can you? Nope, Tojima is gone. He pieced out. He's going to take care of this on his own because Tojima does not give two fucks. He wants to get rid of these dope men as fast as he can. And we meet that he's going to beat them because we see what his power is. See, the gun isn't full of bullets. It's actually full of these drug inhibitors, which will give him powers. And we discover that Icarus does something kind of cool. whenever you use it, it gives everyone a different ability based on their own internal desires. And as I said, Tojima wants to beat the hell out of Dopemen and get rid of them. So he gets super strength and really cool abilities like healing skills and speed and strength. I think they don't really explain what it is, but he ends up getting into a huge fight with this guy who could blow stuff up, and they get into a great battle, which is really well illustrated and it looks pretty cool. He ends up beating the hell out of this guy, and it's pretty awesome. And afterwards, after defeating this guy and showing that the dope power is a reflection of one's own desire, and his desire is to kill all the dope men, he's stopped by Matrix, whose Matrix's power is to neutralize all drugs, because Matrix wants to rehabilitate them. And then after that, we discover some other elements, which I'm not going to spoil, but it goes back into Matrix's backstory and doesn't explain anything. It doesn't explain how the neck collars work. It doesn't explain how the tattoos work, their powers, what their abilities are. It just kind of gets into some of the basics of the world, but nothing too different. It doesn't explain how long it's been. We just discovered that Matrix was someone who's an amnesiac in a hospital, was being experimented on. That's it. And from there, it gets a little confusing. And this is that manga in question. That is the story of Dopeman. And honestly, it's one which is a little different, and it's unique because I love the concept. This world is one where it's got so much going for it. It has this really cool element that it's the okay, this is the repercussions for a legalization of drugs in Japan. I like that. The concept of them having superpowers, really cool, especially because it's doing something different. Similar to Chojin X or Candy Candy, where it's each drug gives you a limited power. Or if you've seen Project Power, that drug gives everyone their own individual powers. I like that concept. I want to know more about it. Also, like I said, the artwork is pretty exceptional. You have some really detailed scenes and some really disturbing scenes in this as well. I mean, there's scenes of, like I said, Matrix is being essentially tortured. There's another character who shows up who's a evil dope man who's got a very odd power of controlling sex dolls, and they look, well, we don't know what they are. We don't know. They don't explain. They're they, and it's pretty good, but it could be better. More importantly, there's no hook. There's no reason for me to want to understand Tojima's situation. It's like with Psycho-Pass. With if you read Psycho-Pass, and that's the creator of this made Psycho-Pass, you're able to understand that group. You understand the Sibylus system. They explain that immediately, so you understand what is at stake and why they're there. This doesn't do that. This is just you're on your own. Have fun. We just told you one sentence about this. Try to figure out this world on your own. It's almost as if they took the lessons from Psycho-Pass, went backwards, and like, this part's important, but we'll throw it away. It's kind of bad. And because of that, because we have no hook, there's no reason to really be invested in this. Our characters, while interesting, we don't get enough about them. And same token, without that, we don't know more about them. We don't have an invested interest in this. And some of the scenes are really cool. They're really awesome. But there's some scenes that are a little disturbing. I'm not going to show them because YouTube. But yeah, it's a little weird. And I was going back and forth on this, but realistically, I have to give this our middle of the ground rating of a gift from your crazy Aunt Muriel. It's okay, but in the end, forgettable. You got these intense action pieces. The concept is really solid, and the artwork is really cool. But then you have no details on the powers or characters. You don't know what the powers are or how they work, which is fine. You don't have to explain how the powers work, but you could say, okay, yeah, so Tojima has super strength. You could say that Jack has super speed. You don't say that. You just like, they have powers. The end. And the scenes that are disturbing are a little unsettling. I mean, I'm fine with it because I'm crazy, but a lot of people would not find this really palatable. I don't think this is for your average shonen reader. This is a Seinen series. It is for adults. And because of that reason, I have to give it this middle of the ground rating. It's okay, but in the end, it is forgettable. The tropes are going to be anti-heroes, criminals working as cops, and drug-fueled villains. And it could be better, or it also could be worse. I don't know. If you've read this and you agree or disagree, you can email me personally at sanspiraken.com. Tweet me at Spiraken. Let me know your thoughts, or do Skype me at spiraken.social.bsk or bksy. Let me know your thoughts on if you like this or did. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that this is only 3 volumes. That's it. I don't know if it was canceled. I don't know if the entire story was done, but that's all we get. There is a little bit of a blurb at the ending, which is a story that is a short story called The Dopeman Narcotic Anonymous, Peacemaker and Black Sun, or the Blood Matrix, which gets a little into the concept of what is the deal with Matrix and Tojima, but it doesn't get far enough into it. It feels more like intellectual exercise inspired by these characters. We don't get into that. So it kind of let me down a bit. But it's a lot better than a lot of some of the things I've read recently. So happy about that. So with that in mind, let's get to the manga releases for the week. And we've got some fun ones this week. Starting off, we've got Akane Banashi number 17. Cool series. And then we've got A Man Who Defies the World of BL Volume 5. Ao Aoshi 3-in-1 Volume 2. This is going to be Volumes 4, 5, and 6 of the manga series. And then we have The Archduke's Adopted Saint Volume 2. Then we have Alpharetta From Commonplace to World's Strongest, manga number 16. Then, instead of a manga, as a book, we have Ask Iwata, Words of Wisdom from Satoru Iwata, Nintendo's legendary CEO. And this is a USA Today bestseller. This looks actually pretty cool. And then we have Ballad of Sword and Wine, Volume 8. Banished from the Hero's Party, the final volume, which is Volume 15. Betrayed by the Hero I Formed a MILF Party with His Mom, Volume 5. Cat Life Balance, Volume 2. Demons of the Shadow Realm, Volume 11. Dandadan, Volume 20. Diary of a Female Lead, Volume 7. Draw This Then Die, Volume 1. A lot of people have been talking about this manga. Epic Scarlet. This is based on the recent anime film. I don't know if this is just a cell by cell manga or if it's an actual single manga, but we're going to find out. Then you have The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Volume 14. Girl Crush, Volume 8. Girl Zombie Party, Volume 2. Grand Blue Dreaming, Volume 24. Hotel Inhumans, Volume 1. If the Villainous and Villain Met and Fell in Love, Volume 5. In Another World with My Smartphone, Volume 31. Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon, Volume 20. Isekai Tensei Recruited to Another World, Volume 7. This is the manga version. Izak, Volume 7. Karate Survivor in Another World, Volume 10. Kill Blue, Volume 8. Kaoru and Minato Happy Life with My Girlfriend, Volume 2. Legend of Exorcism Taibao Fuyalu, Volume 6. Lord Megar's Apprentice, Volume 1. Love at First Memory, Volume 3. Lynx, Volume 1. Mao, Volume 25. Marriage Toxin, Volume 14. The Matchmaker's Fiancé. My Fiancé Won't Leave Me Alone When I'm Finding Him the Ideal Bride, Volume 1. Mary Witch's Life, Volume 4. Mushishi, Collector's Edition 3. My Clueless First Friend, Volume 9. My Girlfriend is 8 Meters Tall, Volume 4. My Isekai Life, Volume 26. This is the light novel. My Kitten is a Picky Eater, Volume 9. My Quiet Blacksmith Life in Another World, manga number 4. My Quiet Blacksmith Life in Another World light novel, Volume 9. My Yadori Girlfriend Hiding in the Dungeon Kills Me Over and Over Again, Volume 1. Past the Monster Meet Milady, Volume 10. Pet Shop of Horror, Collection number 7. Punk Triangle Stitch, Volume 1. Rai, Volume 5. Rainbows After Storms, Volume 11. Rascal Does Not Dream of Beach Queen, Plus. Romelia War Chronicle, The Count's Daughter Rallies an Army in the Wake of Mankind's Victory, manga number 3. Sanctuary Priestess, I'll Live in Peace by Feigning Incompetence, Volume 1. Sasuke and Peeps, Volume 10. Scattering His Virgin Blood, Bloom, Love Frenzy, Volume 3. Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You, Barnes & Noble Special Edition, Volume 1. This is a re-release with some new artwork. Succubus and Hitman, Volume 11. The Tale of Little Alchemist Blessed by the Spirits, light novel number 3. Tank Chair, Volume 9. Tsukimi Ogami's Not So Ordinary Life, number 7. The Unwanted Undead Adventurer Volume 14, and last and certainly not least, we've got You Might As Well Be One, Volume 1. So these are the manga releases for the week. We've got some good ones, we've got some bad ones, and some that are ending and that look exceptional. Now, for me personally, my top 5 for this week are going to be Draw This Then Die. The anime has been spectacular, and the concept is really well done because obviously the main character does have some neurodivergent issue, and I like that this manga is one that inspires her to be better, and then to find out that the person who created this manga that has affected her life and made her wonderful is the manga hating teacher she has. So that's gonna be really cool. Hotel Inhuman was exceptional. That is a story of a essentially, if you've ever seen John Wick, it's about the Hotel Continental. It's a hotel for criminals. Looks pretty cool. Lynx is a post-apocalyptic crisis ending series involving a person named Lynx who saves the day. Sanctuary Priestess is about a young girl whose ability is, well, she's an amazing priestess, but is pretending to be incompetent, so her family doesn't mess with her. And You Might Be One as well is a very different romance story that looks like it could be a lot of fun. So these are my releases for the week that I'm excited about. Which of these are you interested in finding out about? Or more importantly, what mangas do you want to read this week? Let me know. Email me or comment down below. And with that in mind, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for checking out this podcast and show. Every email I get, every new comment, every new subscriber, it gives me more motivation to keep doing this. So thank you so much. I'm now at 445 listeners and subscribers for the YouTube channel. I want to keep going, and I want to keep doing this as long as I can and read manga with thick glasses and large print. So keep them coming, keep subscribing, and keep listening to the episodes. And especially with the change in the algorithm for YouTube, which now says apparently instead of it being 500 followers, I need 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to join in, definitely check it out. Or we can do all the viewing on the episode for all my shorts. Maybe I'll be able to get some subscription from this. But speaking of which, if you are watching on YouTube, as always, remember to like, share, subscribe, and as always, click on that bell for notification for when we do these new episodes. And what else is going on? Well, we've got our Spiraken Book Club on Mondays. You can watch it on our YouTube channel. And I put a poll in our YouTube channel for questions about, well, a new potential return of the Spiraken movie review. If I bring that back, what theme month would you like to see first? Would you like to see us review rom-coms? Would you like us to do superheroes again? Would you like us to do some action blockbusters? Or would you prefer something like a slice of life vignette, like, for example, Rental Family with Brendan Fraser, which Greta and I saw and actually found it to be amazing, but then someone we thought was going to hate it loved it, and someone we thought was going to love it hated it. So it's an interesting discussion to have, but I digress. So let me know. And also, I do have a couple other polls going on, including one for what panels you'd like to see at future conventions. And also, well, you have to look and see. But regardless. Now, with that in mind, let's get to the part you've all been waiting for, the most important part of this podcast, the most popular part of this podcast. And what are we talking about? Well, we are talking about that one, that only, the Wheel of Manga! Yes, friends, the Wheel of Manga, except no substitute. Now, what is the Wheel of Manga? The Wheel of Manga is a Wheel of Fortune with 10 slots on it. And what I've done is I've assigned a manga title to each of the 10 slots. So organizers are going to spin the wheel, and whatever number it lands on, that's the manga review in the next episode of the Spiraken Manga Review, episode 643. And we've got some fun titles on there and some pretty dark titles. So let's spin and see what we're reviewing the next episode, shall we? Number 6. So in the next episode, I'm going to be reviewing a manga that is about Norse mythology called Farewell My Odin. This has been compared to Vinland Saga and being very similar with the historical references, but I don't know what it's about. I've heard about it, but I've never seen it. So we're going to see what it is about and talk about it. Anyway, regardless, I hope you enjoyed this episode. As usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzville. I'll catch you guys next time. And as always, keep reading manga. I will see you later.